Hi, Lisa Christensen here with May Dream Rose, and this post is sponsored by Blue Night Stamps, and I'm going to use this beautiful lake stamp. It's this one from Blue Night Stamps. It's called Peaceful Lake. It's really been a beautiful thing. It's been making me happy to paint this. This is like the fourth time I painted this scene. Here is an art journal that I'm doing with it. I can't wait to share more. And so let me show you how to do the sky. Because the sky, if you can do the sky, I always say paint your focus first. So whatever your focus point is, paint that first. For me, I want the sky in the foreground to be my focus. I know that sounds counterintuitive because this really is the focus. But I also know that I don't have to mess around too much with this because there's a lot of lines. If I want to painterly card, I'm going to work on the painterly part of it and then let the line work do the rest. So let me show you what I do with the sky. All right, so this palette is from Prima Marketing Watercolor, and I'm using the Decadent Pie palette. There's like, I think they got up to like 10 different palettes now. I love these palettes. I have 2 of them. And this is the one that I like. Anyways, let's start with this guy. So I'm using the 2 blues that come with it. They're numbered, and I don't remember. I couldn't tell you the colors. But anyways, it's a very neutral, natural color. And then on this side, they have like metallics and paint, so it's really fun. All right, so for clouds, I like to start at the top, and I found out how to paint clouds like this through Jean Haynes' Paint Yourself Calm book. If you like to watercolor, you might want to check this book out. It's really a good read. I actually did a book review on it because it just changed the way I viewed watercolor, and since then it's just been fantastic. So what I'm doing is I'm putting pigment down, and then I'm moving the pigment around with just water, wet water, like clean water, wet water. You know what I mean. And then I'm just gonna add some color where I think I want my clouds. What I'm doing right now, technically I'm negative painting because I'm not really painting the clouds. The clouds are the white. I'm painting the sky, the blue sky. Or maybe these are storm clouds. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. So it's really just a wet into wet technique, and I'm just adding, I'm dotting in it, and then I can go down with my wet brush and see how that color just moves. That's what I'm looking for. And then I can use it to my advantage to move it however I want it to. Okay. And I'm going to leave the trees alone. All right, that looks painterly enough for this guy. So there's that. That's done. Now let's work around the rocks in the foreground. I like using this darker brown for the foreground, and then I'm going to use this green for the foreground. And there was another color. I'm going to use this red. And actually, I don't think I got enough darker brown. All right, so I got my palette mixed. Now, let's start this. I'm just painting, and yeah, I'm just dotting in color. I'm not trying to stay in the lines. I'm not trying to, like, I don't know, be super fat. I'm just doing it. I'm just painting. I'm adding pigment, really, is all that I'm doing. Okay. And I'm actually, this brown is a bit more red than than the other 2 cards I painted. They were more of that brownish color, but I think it will look even better with the green because it will contrast so well. All right, so once I get this pigment down, then I'm just moving it all around. I'm not, and of course I'm using my favorite paper, Strathmore Mixed Media paper. It takes a beating. I can scrub it with my brush. I can scrub the watercolor with my brush a lot, and it will take a beating. All right, so there's that foreground, and yes, it looks very red. I'm going to tone that down with this green because I see what I love about watercolor is that you can be fearless and not have to be so worried about it because it always dries lighter. So be fearless, put that color down. In the Midwest, I live in Iowa, so we'll go to Minnesota often enough, and and it's rocky. The shore is rocky. It's not sandy. It's not beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful in its own way, but it's very rocky and not very sandy. So I always think of lake shores as rocky. So that's where these colors are coming from. And if you had a sand shore, you would use maybe this kind of color. Let me show you with this art journal. And I just stamped this. This is my clouds that I just painted, and it's dried. And like when you use a bigger canvas, you can really have fun. But for a sandy one, I would just add a little bit of that brown and do basically the same thing, because I don't know, as artists, I always like to pay attention to the color of the ground, and then I'll paint my boat kind of the same color as the brown in the sand, and maybe darker, I don't know. And then I'm just moving the pigment around. And same thing, like basically this is a very simple wet into wet technique. And then maybe I would add some of that, I don't know, what do you call it, like grass or whatever to add it, and just to give it some dimension, I guess. And maybe there's grass down here, I don't know. But so you just have fun with it. You can just play, and this is just the lighter yellow, and you can kind of see how you're just adding some pigment and then using a lot of water to to move it around, and that gives the painting such a neat look. So that's how I would do like a sandy type thing. And then if you really wanted to, you could go in, and what I like to do sometimes is splatter a little bit, and I know that looks very horrible, I don't know, stark contrast, but then you can go in, and this gives it more of a texture. It just gives it texture. The other thing you could do is add salt and make it look rocky or sandy. And if you don't like something, you just use water to, like, I don't want this red stuff on my green, so I'll take that off, and then maybe I'll add a little bit more green right there and tone it down a bit. And so, I mean, watercolor is very forgiving. You just have to know how to work with it. So that's really pretty. I really like that, and I like working on a bigger on a bigger piece. So I will finish that as an art journal piece, and I can't wait. So, anyways, let's get back to the card. I just wanted to show you kind of another simple way to do that foreground. All right, so now for the water, you're doing the same thing as the clouds, and you want it to be the same color basically, because the sky and the water should be very similar in color. So I'm just kind of going where the lines are, and this is shallower, so I want it to be lighter. And I forgot to color my boat, so I'm gonna, as soon as I'm done pulling water away from the pigment, I'm gonna add that color to the boat. So what I do, I added pigment. I'm taking a clean brush with water on it, and I'm moving the blue pigment around where I want it to go. So basically I'm creating different shades for the blue. And then if I want it to be lighter in places, I'll just take away that water. And I think I just want a little bit more water here and maybe here. I always like to balance out the water. I don't know if it really matters. I like to think it does, but then I want it to be shallow. I want it to look a little shallower there. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some of like iridescent color to this lake if you want it to look shimmery like water. I'm not going to, because this is a bit more moody for me. So now with this, I'm getting this really pretty dark green. This green comes from this shade, this I don't know, natural green color shade. I don't know what color they chose. And then like the lighter, brighter green. And that's what I'm getting. I'm getting this pretty, I would call it a hunter's green. I don't know what it's called. And I'm dabbing where I think the tree needs green. And I'm paying attention. My school of thought is I'm paying attention to this horizon line, because I want my horizon line to be dark. Not only because that's where like all the trees are, but it will also give it a nice, it helps with the value and making it look like a real painting. All right, so now I have a clean damp brush, and all that green that I just laid on, I'm gonna paint onto my trees. And I don't know, I always feel like pine trees are lighter at the top, so I'm taking my brush and I'm going with the brush with the lines of the pine tree. And I'm really just bringing up that color. I'm trying to anyways. Now if you made, I just made a, and that is a little too green for me, so I'm gonna use my water and just kind of take it away. And once it dries, you won't notice that. Now I'm just going back in and I'm scrubbing those harsh lines away, because I really don't want harsh lines. And then I'm blending it away into what I would call the sky. And so that's what I'm doing here. And you'll see that with a lot of florals too. You don't want a lot of those hard lines, so you just kind of take it away. All right, this looks good. I could spend more time on it. I'm not going to, because I'm pretty happy with it. And let me finish that boat, because I will totally forget that boat until I mount it on the card front, and then I think, oh no, that boat's not painted. And so all I did was use the same kind of color, because I want it to be color harmony. I don't want it to look, I don't want the boat to stand out, so I'm using the same color as the sand. And there you go. We got two, I'll show you two different, those are my two, that is how that's done. Isn't that fun? Oh, it's just so fun, and it's so pretty. It will make for a beautiful birthday card. I also thought, what a perfect card to send to someone that you know is maybe in the nursing home, or you know, someone that wishes they could get to a lake and couldn't go to a lake, and say, hey, I'm just thinking of you. So anyways, lots of ways to use this stamp. I am loving it. I hope you have a wonderful painting session, and check them out. Check out Blue Stamps, Blue Night Stamps. Their stamps are very high quality. You can see the thickness, and I just love them. I love painting with the stamps. So have fun painting. We'll see you next time. Bye.